What's up everybody, Mortag here. So, we know that the Dark Iron Dwarves are going to be the third allied race for the Alliance. And when I knew about them, that we are going to lock them when Battle for Azeroth will release, a question came in my mind. What is the connection of the Dark Iron with the story that we know in Battle for Azeroth? Because the Horde, we know that it goes to Zandalar, and they align themselves with the Zandalari. This makes sense. Of course, we got an answer last week in the Q&A with Ion Azikostas. He said that later in the expansion they will unlock for the Horde the Draenor Orcs. So what better counterparts for them to give to the Alliance the human of kul'tiras. But I still try to find an answer to this following the lore and what could happen in kul'tiras. So what we know is some threats that we have to deal with. Besides the most common being pirates, they also have a whole dungeon theme about them. This is the one we saw at the BlitzCon demo. But also there are some other dark threats in the zone. For example, in Drasvar there are these Dras, the older civilization that live on kul'tiras way before the human settled in, and now they curse the land as ghosts. But what I find interesting is the threats in the Stormsong Valley. Basically a zone where the most common threats are the local quillboars, but also it made me up to a theory, because if you don't know, the humans of kul'tiras do not follow the light as the humans in the Eastern Kingdoms. They have this sept of sea priestess. They are pretty much the religious leaders. And what I found interesting is that was a model that we saw when the first build of Alpha came out about this tentacle priest. And what I find interesting is that what is the most danger creatures living in the sea at the moment? Cool Guy Nozoth. And Cool Guy Nozoth is also the leader of the Nagas. And who are going to be the enemy and the main boss of the second raid of Battle for Azeroth? Ajara and their Nagas. And so I think that I'm trying to understand what will likely be the story, because if you don't know, the Dark Iron have an history as servants of the Olgats, because they were enslaved by Ragnaros. This was another lieutenant of the Olgats as Ajara 300 years ago. And now the Dark Irons are in a strange situation, because after the events of Cataclysm, they are now free from the enslavement by Ragnaros, because Ragnaros is now dead. There is a new Fire Lord. The Shamans, with the help of the Shamans during the Legion campaign. And also, not all of them went to Ironforge and set themselves to the Alliance after the Shattering. Only a small part of them followed Queen, their new queen or Empress Moira Taurisian to the New Kingdom. And so mostly of them still lives in Blackrock Mountain, and they are hostile to everyone. So what I expect that the Dark Iron have also an history of being ally of the Twilight Armor cult, which was of course the clan of Cho'Gath, but later on it became the most important force for the All Gods gathering by the mortal race. And so I think that this history that the Dark Irons have on serving the Old Gods and the fact that they know a lot about them, their knowledge will be very high valuable, and probably this is the reason why they we will need their help after we discover what is going to happening earlier in Uldir and then on kul'tiras. So I think this is the reason we will ask for their aid. Maybe we will have to gain their trust, so we will be a reputation, a new reputation focused on them. And after a scenario like we did before, we will probably help them deal with some threats still in Blackrock Mountain, because I believe there are still some follower and worshipper of Nefarian, and it's called, even if Nefarian is dead, but they res on Ixa 3 times. I think they can even res Nefarian another time. So this is my theory. We will have to deal with a lot of Algal forces. We need the help of people that know their forces and have a history of fighting with them, and that's why we will go to ask for their aid. We will have to gain their trust. We will have to help them deal with some threats that they have still to deal with, and at that point we will have the Dark Iron as a new allied race for the Alliance. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope to see you soon in the next video. Bye bye.